Then we're going to my friend Barbara Avdis, who I know for a long time, and I've worked with her when she was the chairwoman of the Historic Hotels of Europe, and I think she's still the deputy chairwoman of the Historic Hotels in Europe. And then I recently realized that she's part of the Greek National Tourism Organization as well, so she's got the second hat as well. So Barbara, tell us about what's happening in Greece and what do you see happening this summer and longer term?
Okay, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dimitri, for the introduction and the invitation to participate at this very, very interesting conference. I have been following with great attention all the discussions earlier, and certainly I can say that you have given us an excellent platform and a vision to reflect upon in terms of how to apply your findings into the business perspective and at the transnational level. It has been very interesting hearing what is going on in Portugal, in Spain, and in Spain. Listening to what we have said before, there is one thing I believe that we all agree, that global tourism is never going to be the same again. And actually, no human activity will ever be the same again. And I don't think that there is a magical way to get out of this crisis. It would be really naive to hope for a simple end of that and return to what we considered before as a normality. And the quicker we realize that, the faster we will be able to restart not only our lives, but the way we go about and the way we do business and the way we do tourism. And in response to what Marina said to the earlier panel before, certainly nobody knows what the new normal will be because we are all part of the new normal and we are actually reshaping the new normal. As Alexandros very nicely stated before, the new normal should be in terms of collaborative networks. So we will be asked to collaborate while we are social distancing. So it's interesting to see how this will go. In terms of business, with no precedents, no facts, no data to rely on, the big question is how we will be able to do business, how we will be able to do business projections for our tourism businesses and our hotels. Just 3 months ago, we can only think that we were sitting at our conference rooms with our colleagues, readjusting our yearly budget based on the trends and the statistics that we know how to deal with. Can we do that any longer? Certainly we cannot. And I do really apologize to you professors that now this is going in contrary with what we have been learning at the universities and what you have been teaching. And what do I mean? As events with the COVID period change by the day, there is no pattern that we can rely on and to base our projections in order to safely do our business the way we thought that the way we were dealing with businesses until January. However, there is one thing I believe that we can rely on, and this is our intuition. And when I talk about intuition, I'm talking about the intuition that is driven out of our experience in the business so many years and out of our expertise. And certainly we have to be ready for adaptability, because business today, they have to adapt and adapt quickly if they want to respond and stay in the market, and flexibility. These two are the keys to develop within our businesses if we want to remain, to have a good short and long-term strategy, because we don't know what is coming ahead. There has been a whole discussion about the protocols and the new protocols, not only in Greece, but what I've heard in Spain and Portugal as well. And I already hear a lot of hoteliers that they are complaining about how they will be able to adapt to these new hygiene protocols. Now, I would like to see it differently, and I think that we all need to see it differently in the market. These protocols are not irrational procedures imposed to the way we do business. This is the new normality. And sooner or later, we have to realize that if we want to be and remain successful, we shall adapt into these new protocols. Adapting to these new protocols and putting these new protocols into the way we do our business in hotels, in restaurants, in transport, in the transport area, is actually showing respect to our guests, because this is the way that we show them the safety, that we are safeguarding their safety. And this is not only respect to our guests, but it's also respect to our businesses. Certainly, new rules are not easy. We all agree to that. We all want the change, and sometimes we know that nobody wants really to change. However, no matter how strict are those rules, businesses always find their way to adapt. And especially, we have already seen some excellent examples in gastronomy that seems to be an area more at risk now with COVID. We should focus on people. Tourism is about people. Tourism is about our guests. And this is now our very, very first priority. However, it's not only from the side of the business, it's certainly also from the side of the guests. As Maria very well stated before, our guests are now considered and expected to be a lot more responsible, as we saw also in the video of Immaculada. We all remember what happened during 9/11. We were all thinking how we're going to travel after that. We did it. We made it. And even though fear was the very first factor that was in our minds after 9/11. So fear shapes our behavior, and fear shapes the behavior of the travelers and the guests. Just think how many times in the past couple of months we have all hashtagged the stay safe hashtag, because we all needed to feel that we are going to stay safe. So as fear has shaped the new tourism after 9/11, fear is shaping it again today. And we have to look at fear into the eyes in order to be able to respond, and in order to be able to get into the shoes of our customers and provide them with the safety and the security and the trust they need in order to travel, in order to visit our places, in order to be able to unwind and to relax. Because if you don't feel safe, you cannot unwind, you cannot relax. So in terms of business, planning should be based today on adaptability, on flexibility, and certainly on resilience, as you have all said since this morning. Now, we do know that financially, we are aware that many businesses will be threatened with bankruptcy. We have seen today, as Professor Dimitrios said, about the airline in Latin America, and we know that many businesses will not be able to operate this year. Certainly, the Greek state will support in one way or another those businesses. Being on the side of the businesses, of course, they should start considering not only how to fund the 2021 opening, but also how to reshape their strategy and their profile for 2021. Because they should all be aware, and we should all be aware, that we cannot restart and we will never find the tourism that we had before. We should reshape to a new model. And we are the ones who are creating all together the new model. We don't know what is this new model. We are creating it together. Now, on another note, we have the new model. I believe it's a combination of the trends that we have seen coming before the pandemic. And now we're going to see these trends coming, getting into our lives a lot quicker than what we were expecting. Mass tourism was in question, as in the morning they stated as well. Over tourism was a major concern, and Maria well covered the topic area earlier. The new environmental policies were in the agenda. The local community features that are features that tourism looks when traveling were on the agenda. And today, these issues, and I liked very much what I think Maria said also in the morning about heritage, and I'm happy because of my Historic Hotels of Europe hat, are more timely than ever. Now, the tourism destination and the tourism products should be ready to shape this, their new identity following these new demands. And I think that what this pandemic has taught to us in this couple of months that we were closed at home is that today more than ever, we have to commit to sustainable living with a long-term view. And when we say sustainability, it's not only in terms of the environment, but it's also in terms of the economy and in terms also of the social and the community around us. So the key concepts that we have to invest in business is sustainability, responsibility, and respectfulness from the part of the guest and towards our guests, in combination with adaptability and the flexibility. Now, if I'm to use my GNTO hat and talking about Greece, I feel that the biggest challenge that Greece is facing today, tourism in Greece, is how to balance the need for tourism, especially for 2020, the need for tourism with safety. Greece has done very well with safety over the past couple of months, and we have to keep this safety for the well-being of the community. So we hope to start tourism, and we hope that we are going to do well in this combination as well. According to the Ministry of Tourism, there are 5 pillars that Greece is investing right now in terms of health, of the funding of the businesses that are affected, and all the tourism businesses and the tourism-related businesses are affected. In terms of diplomacy and foreign relationships, and this has to do, as we all stated earlier, having to do with when the quarantine is going to be lifted in most of the states in order to enable tourism flows between Europe. Fourth, in marketing and communication, we do have plans and strategies in place, and we work on plans at the GNTO, especially about how to maintain the relationship with our guests and our existing markets. And we have decided that this is going to be based mainly on the safety feature of Greece. And last but not least, all the communication with the wholesalers or else the tour operators that they are working with Greece. Certainly, I cannot get into the details. There are other people more responsible than me in getting into the details, and certainly these plans are still into discussion and not finalized yet. Now, how do I see that the 2020 season will be shaped? This year, I feel that it's definitely late. We have to see at late summer a very slow start of the season. Certainly, many properties will not be able to operate, and the tourism flow at the end of the summer should be taken as a pleasant surprise, I would say. Tourism in Greece is much more complex than in the mainland Europe. You know that many islands are involved, which means a complex connectivity which means a remote healthcare system and also small communities that they have remained safe during the past couple of months, and they are to remain safe and protected during the summer months as well. Should we go well with the COVID control in Europe and Greece, I am very optimistic that Greece will be able to invest more and move faster into the all year round destinations. And as Maria also said in the morning, the Mediterranean used to be a winter destination in its origins. So we have to invest into the year-round destination in Greece, and the products and the market has already started readjusting in that way. And GNTO also is working on that way as well. Now, all that depends on how the markets are going to be to open, when the quarantine in Europe is going to be lifted, and what are going to be the bilateral agreements between the countries. Greece is already working on bilateral agreements with non-European countries in order to be able to facilitate the tourism flows and start the tourism flows. A challenge is how to balance all that with safety. I have been hearing also a lot from people in the tourism sector talking about less tourism but more income, and because tourism is going to be more expensive, especially during the 2020, and they expect to have less tourism but more income. Unfortunately, I haven't been hearing a lot the word about quality, and we have to take into consideration that today, more than ever, quality is undisputable. And quality is not only in terms of the services provided in our hotels, but also in the health and the safety that we provide to our guests in all the tourism flow, starting from the transport, ending to the hotels and the restaurants. Now, above all, and as you very well mentioned, Dimitrios, today it's a best period for the Greek tourism sector to make a step back in order to be able to redesign or to reset, or as you all said, to reinvent the strategy for the next decade, which should be centered around developing a sustainable tourism model. And this sustainable tourism model should be undeniably in the three aspects, which is the economic aspect, the environmental aspect, and certainly the social aspect, and especially for the small communities that we have in Greece.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I think this is a very, very comprehensive kind of approach. I love how optimistic you are, and it's always great to work with you. I've now been classified as very pessimistic in the Greek tourism industry because I'm airing a lot of questions about how we're going to go, especially in the immediate period of reignition, if you like. And I can see a lot of the issues that we're talking about, sustainability and the redesign, redevelopment on the longer term. Can you share with us what is the latest in terms of opening up borders? When do we expect to see people arriving? And when do we expect hotels and facilities to operate? What's the latest from the government?
Hotels are supposed to open on the 1st of June, and the seasonal hotels in the 1st of July. Already last week, we received news from airlines traveling. Lufthansa is traveling as of next week, but the quarantine is still not lifted. So if the quarantine is not lifted, it means that the people who are going to arrive are going to be local people living in Europe, that they're going to be quarantined in Greece. If Europe doesn't lift, the European countries don't lift their quarantine, people will not be able, we are not going to be able to allow the tourism flows because they will have to go into quarantine for 14 days. And I think there is a lot of, not do I think, I know there is a lot of diplomacy into that field, and we all hope, I think all the countries, especially in the Mediterranean, we hope that this is going to be resolved at the EU level the quickest possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.